Hey scholars, so the next couple of self-paced lessons are going to be you practicing how to determine the main idea and finding the details. So we've been doing this a lot during our read alouds with our Save the Ocean book, as well as practicing it during our lesson. So these self-paced lessons are really just you showing Miss Esther what you are able to do independently. So before we start, I just want to simply review the definition of main idea. So main idea is the point or the overall message of a paragraph or text. So sometimes it's not even the whole story. It's just a simple paragraph, just like we've been doing with our Save the Ocean book. Now the text is definitely something that's a little bit longer. So the main idea is what the story is mostly about, and it is supported by key details within the text. Okay, so just remember those things. And we've talked about how we have a topic, which is our whole big circle. Remember, we've made that big circle, and that means the topic is very general. And then that jumps down to the main idea, which is what is it mostly about, and then the 2 or 3 details that would support our story. Okay, so my in-person people, you have this in your folder, and then my remote scholars, you have this that you either picked up from school or Miss Esther dropped it off at your house. So if you'll pause your video and make sure you have this packet, and today we are on page 11. So it should be the first page in your packet. Okay, so we're going to do a few of these together, and then you are going to be reading the story Life in My Village, okay, and you're going to be answering a few questions independently. And the way that you will submit this assignment is you will take a picture with your iPad, and then you will send it through me in Canvas. Okay, so here we go. It says finding the main idea and details. So let's start right here. So Miss Esther is just going to kind of zoom in a little bit so you can see. There we go. All right, hopefully it'll focus. There we go. Okay, so let's look right here. The main idea of a passage is what the passage is mostly about. Details are all the facts and ideas in a passage. The most important key details in a passage support the main idea by giving more information about it. So I would underline that word, main idea, and underline details and key details. Okay? So we're going to read this passage right here. It says, read the following passage about the way people lived in American colonies. So if you don't know anything about American colonies, this was a long time ago, way before you were born and even your grandparents were born. Life in the American colonies was not easy. People had to work very hard to make a living. Some families lived on farms and made their living by selling food to people in faraway towns. Getting to a town could take 2 hours or more. They had to travel by horse, which was not easy on the rough terrain. Once in town, they sold their goods. Then they would take the long trip back to the farm. So let's underline the first sentence in the passage. So go ahead and underline that. Life in the American colonies was not easy. This is the main idea. Okay? Now, I want you to go to your passage, and it says what? Circle 3 details that help us explain why it was not easy. So I want you to pause your video, and I want you to go up here, and I want you to circle 3 details that tell us that life in the colony was not easy. Okay, so let's see what you did. You should have said something about how they had to work very hard to make a living. You also could say something about how they would have to sell food to people in faraway towns. Sometimes that travel would take 2 hours or more, and that they traveled by horse. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of things on here that would make it difficult. So let's see if we got them right. The main idea was that life in the American colonies was not easy. And the detail was people had to work hard to make a living. Getting to town could take 2 hours. Traveling by horse was not easy. So, good readers look for the main idea of the passage by finding the most important details. When you retell the key details in a passage, you can put them together and find the main idea. Okay? All right, so go ahead and turn your page. We are now on page 12. Okay? So what I want you to do is pause the video. You're going to read this in your head, and then I want you to come down, read all of this, and come down here and finish this sentence. Okay, you're going to fill in that key detail, and you're going to finish in this sentence, and then we'll check our work. All right, let's see how you did. So the first thing we're going to do is going to read the story. What is a community? So hopefully you underlined that or circled it. A community is a group of people who live and work in the same area. So it gave us the definition of a community. People do different things to help make a community. Think about the people you saw on your way to school today. Maybe you saw a bus driver. A bus driver helps get you to school on time and safely. Maybe you saw a police officer. A police officer makes sure that people follow the laws and stay safe. Maybe you saw a mail carrier, a delivery person, or people on their way to work. All of these people work together to make a community. This community is your city or town. What is a detail in the passage that supports the main idea? So first, look for a sentence that tells what the passage is mostly about. What is the main thing you learn from reading this passage? Okay, so the main idea and two details that support it are shown in the chart below. Find a third detail from the passage that supports the main idea. So let's look right here. The main idea, it tells us, is a community is a group of people who live and work in the same area. And again, it was our first sentence, which usually happens with main idea. Okay? All right, let's see what they put. A bus driver helps get you to school. So again, this is more specific. A bus driver helps you get to school. A police officer right here. Make sure that people follow the laws. Did you see another one? A city or town is a... Did you see where that was? So did you write the word community here? Because right here it says, this community is your city or town. So a city or town is a, you should have written community here. If you didn't, Miss Esther wants you to change it. Fill in the blank below to write about a detail that supports the main idea of the passage. A detail that supports the main idea of this passage is that a city or a town is a community. So we're going to write community one more time. All right, so go ahead and pause the video if you need to get caught up, and then we're going to go to one more page, and you're going to do this part by yourself. Okay, so now I'm on page 13, and this is the rest of our community story. So as we're reading, be thinking about this. Which sentence best tells the main idea about what makes a town or city a community? Okay, so we're going to be looking for a sentence that helps us understand that. So let's read this section. Once you got to school, you saw teachers and other students, parents, and the principal. All of these people work together to help make your school community. They help make sure you have what you need to learn and be safe. You are a part of your community too. You do things to make a difference. You can help keep your community clean. You can follow rules and laws. You can help others in your community who are in need. You and everyone around you work together to make a community. Okay, so what I want you to do is pause your video. It says, which answer tells the main idea of the last paragraph? So that was a hint. So our hint is that whatever our answer is going to be, it's going to be in the last paragraph. So the question is, which sentence best tells the main idea about what makes a town or city a community? So pause the video and either pick A, B, C, or D for your answer, and then come back to see if you're right. All right, if you picked D, you are right. Okay, so the question is, what makes a town or city a community? And it says you and everyone around you work together to make a community. So if you put D, awesome. If you didn't, go ahead and change your answer. Okay, we're not going to do this section, so you can just draw an X through it. Okay, now it is your turn to show Ms. Esser what you know. Okay, so now we are on page 14 and 15. So I'm going to go through the directions real quick. Okay, I'm going to go through the directions really quickly. You are going to be reading this story, Life in a Village. Okay, there are 6 paragraphs. There are some helpful hints over here on the side. After you read, you're going to answer question number 1 and question number 2. You do not have to do question number 3. Okay? Then when you finish, you're going to take your iPad. You're going to take a picture of these 2 pages just like this. You're going to take a picture of it, and it's going to go in your photos. Okay? And then on your Canvas assignment, there is a place where it says submit your work, and you're simply going to pick at the bottom where you can add a photo, okay? And then you're going to click submit. If you can't figure this out, you can ask Ms. Esser for help, or I can show you during our live time, okay? So again, you're going to read this on your own, answer only these 2 questions. I would love to see that you're going back to the text and underlining your answers. Okay, so I'm looking for answers here and that you have underlined stuff. Take a picture of your work, and then you're going to submit it to me through Canvas. I can't wait to see how smart you are about main idea.